I would like to welcome Blake Harrison with his speech about building confidence that lasts. Let's give him a big hand.
Okay, let's see. Is the mic going good? All right. Okay. Picture a young 13-year-old boy, well liked by pretty much everyone. Friends, family, church leaders, all of them, everyone. And I think that really described me really well when I was a 13-year-old. I was always really good at connecting with people. I was super optimistic and upbeat, and so people like to have me around, I think. And because of that, I had many opportunities. I was one of 2 people to represent Degano Middle School at a leadership forum hosted by the superintendent and the school board. It was super fun. I was able to give my input on the school, how we can do better on it, and things like that. Great opportunity, and I had lots like that. I composed my first song at age 8. I got the highest standardized test score in my grade. I had tons of things to be proud of, but at the end of the day, I wasn't. But you wouldn't have known it, because I had mastered the act of confidence. I was basically copying what confident people I knew did. And I would go through and I developed a bit of an ego on pretend, I suppose, because I mistook having an ego as being self-assured. And I did lots of things like that. And it made it so that I was always raising my hand first in class. I was always trying to do the best leadership opportunities, things like that. And I actually did pretty well, but I didn't feel it. And you know what? Intuitively, everybody else knew it too. It was just a subtle jab here or there. Something this, something that, but it really struck me to the core. Anything that people would say to me struck me more than any of the accomplishments I could ever have. It mattered so much more to me. And because of that, I wasn't really confident. But they were just repeating back to me the same insecurities I told myself all the time. I was always telling myself that I wasn't worthy of anything, that I didn't really deserve any of it, that I wasn't very good at anything, that I was lazy, that I wasn't physically attractive, all of the mean, negative things that me and probably a lot of people repeat to themselves all the time. And this is really a problem because according to all of the gurus that you see that try and give advice on confidence and things, I had already made it. I was already confident. I already did all the things that confident people do. I followed all of their advice, I thought to a T, and this is the result. I wasn't actually confident or self-assured about anything. And that brings me to the real solution, which is to face it head on. Sadly, that's always the solution to our problems, I think. And we know that this is the right way to go, because multi-millionaires like Martha Stewart, Larry King, George Foreman, and Walt Disney were all multi-millionaires, and then they lost all of their wealth. Many of them switched industries and were able to get it all back much faster. They had that mindset that brought them to the place. It wasn't necessarily their skill set, because they switched and they were doing something new. And so if we have that mindset and we're able to build on something, it'll take us much further. I mean, think, you're about to run a race and you've got a little goblin man hanging onto your ankle. And you start running, and you're worried about running faster. And you're like, if only I could run faster, if only I put more effort into the gym, maybe I could get going a little bit faster. It's not gonna happen. You've got something holding you back. You have to address what holds you back first. And it would be a crime if I didn't mention the next person I was going to mention, which is Ashok Gupta. He's a world-renowned medical practitioner. And what he did is he had ME, or chronic fatigue syndrome. And it meant that he couldn't do any of the things that he wanted to do. But he was researching at Cambridge, and so he put all of his thought and willpower into researching his condition and hopefully getting over it at some point. And what he found is that neuroplasticity is the way out. And what is neuroplasticity, you might ask? It's essentially, this is a bit of a simplification, but this is how I understand it. When you're thinking thought patterns in your head, they go through and they make like these pathways. And when those pathways, they cycle through over and over again. And the more effort you put into them, the more they stick. And because of that, you can rewire them by just doing a couple of tricks. And by doing that, he was able to cure himself of his own illness and he has posted the Gupta program in 2007, and since then, 91% of the people that have used his program would recommend it for his illness and for illnesses that are similar. Because he was able to rewire he says that his hardware was good, but his software was broken. And we all need to fix our internal software if we want to have the right thoughts going. And another guy that I want to recommend that you read and also quote a little bit here is Norman Vincent Peale. He's a pioneer in personal development and changing your thoughts and making them work for you. And what he said is that if there's ever a thought concerning your personal power that comes into your mind, you need to counter it with a thought that's positive. And I'd like to add here that it has to be something that you believe. You can say thoughts in your mind all day that you don't believe. Because I used to, when I first implemented this, I would just say the exact opposite of whatever negative thing I had in my mind. And it doesn't work that way. You have to have a bridge thought. And I think a great example with this would be to share something that I've changed. And so all of my deepest held beliefs are rooted in my religion. I'm a very religious guy. And so if there's ever something that I need to really believe, I pull it out of the scriptures. And what happened was, it started out on big projects. And I would think, I can't do it, it's too hard. And this was really a detriment, because it meant I couldn't get my work done. I was often putting it off. But even, it started to be smaller and smaller things. Like, it's just so dramatic. My mom would ask me to go get a glass and bring it to her. And we'd be like, oh, it's too hard. And then I'd go and get it, right? Because you have to. You have to be nice to your mom. But that's another thing that you should learn from my TED Talk. Be nice to your mom. She deserves it. And so I bring it to her, but I felt crappy the whole way over. And so I thought, I can counter this. I can make a thought that works for me. And so I came up with Philippians 4:13, which is, I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. And that was really big for me, right? I said all of my deepest beliefs are rooted in religion. But for you, it's probably going to be something completely different. You have different insecurities than me. You have different beliefs than me. So I can't necessarily tell you exactly what you need to think, but here's what I will say. You need to go through and find all of the thoughts that don't serve you, and you need to write them down. And once you've done that, you need to come up with these bridge thoughts that help you think something positive. And if you just dial it in and go for as often as it comes up, anytime I would think I can't do it or it's too hard, I would transfer over and recite the scripture. If you're able to do that, then you're able to really create a new pathway. I was talking about those pathways earlier, but I think that there's a better way to illustrate it. Picture a well-run road. There's ruts in it. And as you're driving over, your tires will slip into the ruts because that's just the way things have always been. Your brain does something similar to save energy. It's a lot easier to use the thought patterns that you've already been thinking. But if you create new ones manually, they will become the new normal. And you will be able to have confidence be your highway. It'll be your default. And that's how you truly create confidence that lasts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Blake, for those very wise words about confidence.